What's good, crew? You know the deal. It's SAT hijackers beating the SAT one question at a time. We're back here with SAT practice test 4 module 2. Here we have question number 1. Let's solve it together. Question states, the line graph shows the estimated number of chipmunks in a state park on April 1st of each year from 1989 to 1999. Based on the line graph, which year was the estimated number of chipmunks in a state park the greatest? So, based on this word right here, the greatest, we know we're gonna have to look for the point on the graph that is the highest. So I'm gonna draw a line signifying the highest point of each graph. Point on each graph. So here we can see 1994 is the highest point on the graph. Bad line. It's the highest point on the graph, so we know our answer is 1994. So here we have the next question. Question number 2. A fish swam a distance of 5,104 yards. How far did the fish swim in miles? So here we have our conversion factors right here. So we have 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards. So we're going from yards, because that's what's the number that's given to us, into miles. So we know we're going to have to do 5,104 divided by 1,760. As for each mile is 1,760 yards, so we have to divide this by 5,104. That's going to equal us to 2.9. Therefore, our answer is B. So here's question number 3. Which expression is equivalent to 12x cubed minus 5x cubed? So now this is a pretty simple question. You just have to simplify both terms with each other. So it's simply 12 minus 5. As these are our coefficients, we're going to have x cubed on the outside. So then we're going to have 7x cubed. As inside over here is going to be 7. And over here is going to be x cubed. And that's going to be our answer. So our answer is C. So here we have question number 4. X plus y is equal to 18. 5y is equal to x. What is the solution xy to the given system of equations? So for this one, we just have to input our x value over here into our x value right here. So we know our x value is 5y. So we can say 5y plus y is equal to 18. Make this 6y to simplify our terms. So 5 plus 1, 6, 6y. 18 is equal to 18. Divide by 6, because we want y by itself. Two-step equations. 18 divided by 6, that's 3. So we know our solution is going to be x comma y, right? And based on that, we have our y value. So we know our solution is going to be x comma 3. And even though we don't have our x value, we can still answer the question just based on this information of our y. As we look at our answer choice, only answer A has y as its y value, has 3 as its y value. Therefore, we can say our answer is A. So here we have number 5. It states the point 8, 2 in the xy plane is a solution to which of the following systems of inequalities. So here we have our point 8, 2. We're going to split this up into our x and y values. Just looking at our answer choices, this is what they deal with. So we have 8 as our x value. And based on this, we want to see is 8 greater than or less than 0. And 8 is a positive number, so we know 8 is greater than 0. Therefore, we can say x is greater than 0. And then looking at our y value, we're going to put 2 down here. We have to determine is y greater than or less than 0. So we know 2 is a positive number. That means it's greater than 0. So then we can say y is greater than 0. Based on this, we have to look at our answer choices. X is less than 0. We know D is wrong. Is x less than 0? No. So we know C is wrong. X is greater than 0. Yes. But is y less than 0? No. So B is wrong. Therefore, our answer is A. So here we have question number 6. It says, what is one key point right here? What is one possible solution to the given equation? So we have x minus 5 is equal to 10. It's absolute value. However, that means that everything in here has to equal a positive number. So we can just write this as x minus 5 is equal to 10. Plus 5 on both sides. You can just make this a simple two-step equation. X is equal to 15. And because it asks for one possible solution, we can just state that x is equal to 15, making our answer 15. So here, number 7. F of x is equal to 7x plus 1. The function gives the total number of people with on a company tree with X managers, what is the total number of people on a company tree with 7 managers? So here we know that our managers is our X, and we have 7 managers. So we can just input this in our equation as f of X is equal to 7 times 7, as we input 7 for our X plus 1. Now we just simplify. 7 times 7 is 49. 49 plus 1 is equal to 50. So that means the total number is 50. Total number of people is 50. Number 8 states each of X is equal to X squared minus 3. Which table gives 3 values of X and their corresponding values of h of X for the given function h? So here, just have to plug in our X values into this equation so that we can find which one of these tables best represent the X and Y's that represent the equation h of X. So we have for A, we have 1/4, 1 -2 for B, 1 -1 for C, and 1 -2 for D. So we're going to input X for 1 in our equation. So we're going to get 1 squared, which is 1, minus 3. It's going to equals -2. As you can see, only B and D have -2 for h of X when X is equal to 1. So we know A and C are wrong. And quick trick right here, we can see instead of having to do +2 and then put in the equation and then check for 3, we see that both B and D have the same Y value or h of X value for X is equal to 2. So we just have to input 3 to find their difference because they only have differing B and D values at X equals 3. We're going to do 3 squared minus 3. 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 3 is equal to 6. And only B has h of X is equal to 6 at 3. So that means our answer is B. Function f is defined by f of X equals 270 times 0.1 X. What is the value of f of 0? So the 0 in f of 0 represents our X value. So we just have to input 0 into X to simplify and find what is the value of X at f of 0. So we can just simply do f of X is equal to 270 times 0.1 to the 0th power. So now we just need to simplify to find the X value. Pardon me, we just have to find the value of f of 0. So 270 times 0.1 to the 0th power. And any number to the 0th power is 1. So 270 times 1. So f of 0 is equal to 270 times 1, which is just 270. Therefore, our answer is D. We have number 10. This one can be a bit confusing because we're talking about topics that aren't regularly talking about on the SAT. To estimate the proportion of a population that has a certain characteristic, a random sample is selected from the population. Based on the sample, it is estimated the proportion of the population that has the characteristic is 0.49, the associated margin of error of 0.04. Based on this estimate and margin of error, which of the following is the most appropriate conclusion about the proportion of the population that has a characteristic? So the estimated proportion that has a characteristic is 0.49, and we have a margin of error of 0.4. And margin of error is written as plus or minus, so we can say 0.49 plus or minus 0.04. So this means you have to plus 0.49 by 0.04 and minus it by 0.04. So 0.49 minus 0.04 is 0.45. And then add that at 0.53. So that means our answer choice has to represent 0.45 and 0.53. So we can start with A and C, which one is the most appropriate conclusion. Number A states, it is plausible that the proportion is between 0.45 and 0.53. This seems right because based on the calculations we just did right here, we know that the most appropriate proportion of the population is between 0.45 and 0.53. But let's still check the other answers. B states, it is plausible that the proportion is less than 0.5. This is wrong because 0.5 is the smallest plausible proportion. So we know B is wrong. C, the proportion exactly is 0.49. This is wrong as well. As we're studying, we have a margin of error, so it cannot be exactly 0.49. D, it is plausible that the proportion is greater than 0.53. This is false as well, as we've just calculated that's between 0.545 as its minimum value, 0.53 as our maximum value. So this is wrong as it cannot be greater than 0.53. Therefore, our answer is A. Number 11, it states, Moving truck can tow a trailer if the combined weight of the trailer and the boxes it contains is no more than 4,600 pounds. What is the maximum number of boxes this truck can tow in a trailer with a weight of 500 pounds if each box weighs 120 pounds? So our maximum value was 4,600. It says, what is the maximum number of boxes this truck can tow in a trailer with a weight of 500 pounds if each box weighs 120 pounds? So we know the weight of the trailer is 500, and we only have one trailer, and we want to find the weight of each, the amount of boxes that we can input onto the truck with a weight of 120. So we can subtract 500, as that's the weight of the trailer, and we don't want that. We just want the total weight of the boxes. So the total weight of the box is 4,100. So we can divide this by 120 to find how many boxes that we can input that's equal to the maximum weight. So 4,100 divided by 120 is equal to 34.1 decimals. And this is a real world problem, so you have to use real world mathematics. That means you can't have 0.1 of a box, meaning that we can only go to our smallest value, which is 34, as we round down. So x is equal to 34. Here we have number 12. The question states, what is the positive solution to the given equation? This is going to be a quadratic factoring question. So we have negative 4x squared minus 7x is equal to negative 36. So we're going to bring this negative 36 to the left side, as we want to have this equation equal to 0, so we can factor it and get our roots. As that's going to be the solution for our problem. Negative 4x squared minus 7x plus 36, as we bring 36 to the left side. So we're going to have plus 36 is equal to 0. Now we want to factor, and we're going to use this tactic that I've learned. So we're going to bring this negative 4 to the 36, and that's going to equal negative 144. Now we want to find factors of negative 144 that multiply to negative 144 and add up to negative 7. And that's going to be 16 and 9. However, we have a negative 7 over here, so that means one of our factors has to be negative. And we have a negative 144 as well. So it means one of our factors be negative, which is going to be negative 16, as we have a negative 7 over here. So we're going to have negative, we're going to put these factors back over here and make the equation almost the exact same. Just negative 16x minus 16x plus 9x plus 36. And both of these equations are equal, as this is simply negative 7x just in expanded form, as negative 16x plus 9x is the same as negative 7x. Now we can group these terms, so negative 4x squared minus 16x, and then we're going to have 9x plus 36 is equal to 0. So now we're gonna factor out each of these group terms, take out the greatest common factor. So over here is going to be negative 4. So we're going to have x plus 4. We're going to have, take out a 9 over here. So we're going to have 9 times x plus 4 is equal to 0. And since both of these have the same, are multiplied by the same factor, we can group them together. So we're going to have negative 4x. This should be negative 4x over here. So we're going to have negative 4x plus 9 times x plus 4 is equal to 0. And we know this is going to equal, we can just do this quick math in our head and realize x plus 4 is going to equal negative 4. And we're looking for a positive solution to our equation, so we know it can't be that. So we know our answer has to be negative 4x plus 9 is equal to plus 9. And we're going to find the x, so we're going to equal this to 0, minus 9 on both sides. So we have negative 4x is equal to 9, doing a two-step equation to find x. Divided by negative 4, x is equal to 9/4, and that's going to be an answer as it's a positive solution. Therefore, answer is B. So here we have question number 13. The question states, the table summarizes the distribution of color and shape for 100 tiles of equal area. One of these tiles is selected at random. What is the probability of selecting a red tile? Express your answer as a decimal or fraction, not as a percent. So here's what's the probability of, so the main question of this problem is, what is the probability of selecting a red tile among all these 100 tiles? So we know the total amount of red tiles is equal to 30, and the total amount of all tiles is equal to 100. So this is going to be a simple probability problem. We're going to put our 30 over 100, part over whole, and then when we simplify that, we're going to have 3 over 10. And so this is going to be the answer. This is going to be a probability. So 3 over 10 or 0.3, as it wants as a decimal fraction, not as a percent. So for number 14, it states f of x is equal to 2x plus 3. For the given function f, the graph of y is equal to f of x in the xy plane is parallel to line j. What is the slope of line j? So here, this is just a simple concept problem. So we're going to have line f is parallel to line j. So let's test a simple concept. What is the concept of a parallel line? So for a parallel line, this key concept is the parallel of one line to another have equal slopes. So their m's are equal. So based on this equation, we can see the slope of f is 2. Slope of f is 2. So that means this m over here is equal to this m over here. So the slope of line f is 2, therefore the slope of line j is 2, making the answer 2. 15. It states, a proposal for a new library was included on an election ballot. A radio show stated that 3 times as many people voted in favor of the proposal as people who voted against it. Social media posts reported that 15,000 more people voted in favor of the proposal than voted against it. Based on these data, how many people voted against the proposal? So it says a radio show stated that 3 times as many people voted in favor of the proposal as people who voted against it. So we want to find how many the ratio of people who voted against it. We'll find the ratio of people who voted in favor than against it. So we're going to write this as 3x minus x is equal to 2x. So this is going to be our ratio of people who voted in favor than people who voted against it. So we know 15,000 people voted in favor. And what this ratio is going to help us do is find the amount of people who voted against it. So that means since there's 2 times as many people who voted in favor, we can divide this by 2 to find many people who voted against the proposal. And that's going to equal 7,500, which gives us an answer of 8. Here we have a transversal line problem. In the figure, line m's and n are parallel. If x equals 6k plus 13 and y equals 8k minus 29, what is the value of z? So we have x is equal to 6k plus 13 and y is equal to 8k minus 29. Based on the rules of a transversal line, we know x and y are equal because they're vertex angles. So we know x is equal to 6k plus 1, y is equal to 8k minus 29. So we can set 6k plus 13 is equal to 8k minus 29. Now we're going to simplify to find k. So we're going to plus 29 on both sides. Plus 29. So 6k plus 42 is equal to 8k. 6k. So minus 6k on both sides. 42 is equal to 2k. Divide both sides by 2. K is equal to 21. But we're not done here yet. So now we need to input this k value that we find into our equation for x. So now we're going to do 6 times 21 plus 13 is equal to x. 6 times 21 plus 13, that's 139. So 139 is equal to x. So our angle right here is 139. So we want to find, but we're still not done yet either because we want to find the value of z. And here's the quick trick on transversal lines that we need to know. So we have a straight line right here that's cut by this line right here. And because this is a straight line cut by another line, we know the total angle of x. And now we can state, based off this rule, that this total angle right here has to equal 180 degrees. So x plus this angle right here, which we're going to call c, is equal to 180 degrees. So to find c, we can say 180 minus 139 is equal to c. So c is equal to 41. And another rule of a transversal line is that these angles, c and z, are congruent. And because c is equal to 41 and z is equal to c, we can say z is equal to 41. Therefore, our answer is C. So here we have question number 17. And problems like these are why it's so hard to get an 800 in the SAT math section. So the question states negative 3x plus 21px is equal to 84. The given equation, p is a constant. The equation has no solution. What is the value of p? So we're going to use everything we learned from this equation to help us find the answer. So we know p is a constant. The equation has no solution. And let's ask him what is the value of p. So now we're going to simplify this equation into smallest possible terms to work with. So here we're going to have negative 3x plus 21px is equal to 84. So we're going to take out a negative 3 as a factor, negative 3x as a factor. We're going to have 1 minus 7p is equal to 84. This should be minus 1 minus 7. Never mind. So 1 minus 7p is equal to 84. Now we're going to divide negative 3x, negative 3 on both sides, pardon me, not negative 3x, negative 3 on both sides. So we have x times 1 minus 7p is equal to 84. So now, here's the tricky part. A lot of people would divide both of these equations by x and then solve for p, because it says what is the value of p. So of course you want to solve for p by itself, the variable p by itself, right? No, just based off this information that we got, the equation has no solution. So that means we have to put this equation into a point where p is an undefined number, creates an undefined number. So that means you have to divide both sides by 1 minus 7p, as one of the ways to create an undefined number is to have the denominator as 0. As the equation has no solution, that means we have an undefined number. It's p has to equal an undefined number when it's in the denominator, and then a denominator creates an undefined number when it's equal to 0. So 1 minus 7p has to equals to 0. So 1 minus 7p is equal to 0. Then we're going to solve for p and isolate it. So we can have negative 1, negative 7p is equal to negative 1, divided by negative 7. P is equal to 1/7. That's when p creates the undefined number when it's in the denominator. So our answer is B. This equation has no solution. So here we have number 18. This one's way more simple compared to the one we just did before at 17. So we have f of x is equal to x minus 10 times x plus 13. The function f is defined by the given equation. For what value of x does f of x reach its minimum? So we're going to say f of x is equal to x minus 10. F of x is equal to x minus 10 times x plus 13. So we're going to want this in standard form, as we have it in standard form, and that doesn't give us any information regarding its minimum. So we're going to bring this in a standard form. So we're going to FOIL our numbers. We're going to have x squared plus 13x minus 10x minus 130. So we're going to say f of x, so you simplify this right side of the equation, f of x plus 3x minus 130. Now we just need the simple equation. The x value of the vertex is equal to negative b over 2a. And because the vertex is either the minimum or the maximum, you can only have either one minimum or maximum for a quadratic. And we know we're looking for a minimum, so that means the x value of our vertex is just going to be the value of x when it reaches its minimum. So we have our negative b is 3. So our b is 3, so negative b is negative 3. And then our a is 1, as we have an invisible 1 right here. So 2 times 1 is 2, so we're going to say negative 3 over 2. And we can see that our answer is D. So here we have question 19. It states the function f of x is equal to 1/9 x minus 7 squared plus 3 gives a metal ball's height above the ground f of x in inches, x seconds after it started moving on a track, where x is less than 10, x is less than or equal to 10, and greater than or equal to 0. Which of the following is the best interpretation of the vertex of the graph of y equal f of x in the xy plane? So here we have this equation in vertex form. So we know our vertex is going to be our h and k values. So our vertex is going to be 7, comma 3, right? 7, comma 3. So we're going to use this information about our vertex and find which one of these answer choices best interpret the values that we have in our vertex. So A states the metal ball's minimum height was 3 inches above the ground. This seems right, as he has 3 as our y, and we know our answer is going to be a minimum because we have a positive A value over here, as this is a negative 9. So this is true. But let's see about the other answer choices. The metal ball B says the metal ball's minimum height was 7 inches above the ground. This is wrong, as it's trying to state that the x value represents the height, which it does not. So we know B is wrong. C states the metal ball height was 3 inches above the ground when it started moving. This would be right if our 3 represented our y-intercept, which it doesn't. It just represents our minimum vertex value, the vertex value of the minimum. So we know C is wrong. D states the metal ball height was 7 inches above the ground and started moving. This is wrong for the same reason as B, where it tries to state that our x value represents the height, which it does not. So we know D is wrong. Question 20 states, in triangle JKL, cosine K is equal to 24 over 51. The angle J is a right angle. What is the value of cosine L? So we're going to draw out a triangle. J as our right angle. Of K and L right here, right? So we're going to have SOHCAHTOA, as we're using cosines. So that means we deal with trigonometry. I have a trig identities right here, SOHCAHTOA, right? And we're dealing with cosine. So what does cosine K represent? So cosine represents our adjacent values over our hypotenuse value. So cosine K represents the adjacent side to K as 24. So that means angle K right here, the adjacent side, which is going to be right here. So that means this side KJ is 24. And our hypotenuse is going to be 51, as the bottom number of the denominator represents our hypotenuse. So we have 24, x is J of L, and 51 as our hypotenuse. So we want to find our answer for cosine L. So cosine L is going to represent our adjacent and hypotenuse values. So what is adjacent to angle L? That's going to be J of L, which we represent as x. We're going to have x over hypotenuse, so x over 51. But we're not done yet. We have to find our value for x. So if we use Pythagorean theorem, we can represent the total equation as 24 squared plus x squared is equal to 51 squared. So I'm going to take out a calculator real quick and calculate to find x. So 24 squared, which is 24 times 24, that's equal to 576. Plus x squared is equal to 51 squared, which is equal to 2,601. So we're going to simplify this as we just want x by itself, minus 57x, minus 57x. So x squared is equal to 2,025. Get the square root of both answers. We get x is equal to square root of 2,025. X is equal to 45, so J of L is equal to 45. We're still not done yet. We have to represent this as cosine L. So cosine L is equal to JL over 51. So and JL is 45. So we have 45 over 51. And we can simplify this even further. So we divide everything by 3. So we're going to have 15 over 17. Oh, write this a little bit higher. 15 over 7. So here we have question number 21. It states in the given equation, b is a positive integer. The equation has no real solution. What is the greatest possible value of b? So we have negative x squared plus bx minus 676. So this says the equation has no real solution. What is the greatest possible value of b? So now this is where we use our critical thinking skills. It says the equation has no real solution, and how do we determine an equation has no real solution? Just based on our a, b, and c values, and that's the discriminant formula. So we're going to use our discriminant formula, b squared minus 4ac, and we're going to input our values. So we have b is just as a variable, so we're just going to have b squared minus 4 times a, and a is 1, is negative 1, so 4 times negative 1 times our c value, which is negative 676. Simplify that, we're going to have b squared minus 4, wait, using a calculator real quickly. So b squared minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 676. So 4 times 676. That's going to equal us minus 2,704. That's going to equal our values for the discriminant. And so it says the equation has no solution. That means what this equals to has to be less than 0. However, we don't know exactly what the value is, so we're just going to set it to 0 for now. So b squared minus 2704 is equal to 0. Plus 274 on both sides. B squared is equal to 2704. Take the square root of that and have b is equal to 52. However, that's only b when the equation is equal to 0. And when the equation is equal to 0, that means that there is one real solution and one non-real solution. When there's two no real solutions, that's when x is when b is less than 52. And the next smallest integer than 52 is 51. Therefore, b has to equal 51. So here we have question number 22, which is going to be our last question. It states, if a new graph of 3 linear equations is created using the systems of equations shown in the equation x plus 4y equals negative 16, how many solutions x comma y will the resulting system of 3 equations have? So, the equation of our missing line is x plus 4y is equal to negative 16. So we're going to put this in a y form, y equal mxb form. Subtract x on both sides, minus x. Y is equal to negative x minus 16. And then, this is 4y. 4y, so 4y is equal to negative x minus 16 divided by 4. Y is equal to negative 1/4 x. X minus 4. So now we're going to graph this equation on this line. So we're going to input negative 4 as one of our values as for x. So negative 1/4 times negative 4, that's going to equal positive 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So we're going to input negative 4 as our value for x. So we're going to have negative 1/4 times 4 minus, negative 4. Negative 4 minus 4. Negative 1/4 times negative 4 is going to equal 1 minus 4 equal negative 3. So that means our value right here is going to be negative 3. So we're going to put a line through that. So based off this line, we can see that our points never intersect at all 3 systems of equations. That means our answer is 0, as they never intersect. Alright, that's it for today, guys. I hope you like, subscribe, and share. I also hope you find this video edifying. Hope you do well on your next exam.